Science expresses itself in 5 elements: space, time, matter, motion, and power. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In that one verse, that very first verse, you have the 5 scientific elements, all 5. Brett Porter commented on my post for me being a pastor to quit the science. Well, for over 42 years of preaching, I've also taught many times on apologetics, which is a form of evangelizing, debating and reasoning the logical and evidence of God. You can look on my website and check it out, and you'll find the blockbuster series that I've spoken many times on, and how incredible the universe and the amazing human body. You know, the human body is amazing. Let me just continue. For example, the Bible says in Psalm 139, God knit us together in our mother's womb. God knit us together. Knit is a very word to describe DNA. I could give you literally thousands of incredible facts on the human body. You can check out my series on petermortlock.com and talk and have a look and have a learn. Another example, did you know 1 inch long in your mother's womb, 1 inch long, 1 million nerve cells started coming out of your forming eyeball, growing out to meet another million nerve cells coming out from your forming brain, and they all meet up and join together. And not just join together randomly, they all join up with their corresponding numbers. In other words, number 1, number 5 is number 1, and number 352, 5 is number 352, and so forth. Life is a miracle. You have 75,000 miles of bloodlines in your body. You have 20 square feet of skin, which replaces itself every 2 weeks. Every square inch contains 1,300 nerve endings, 100 sweat glands, 3 million cells, 10 feet of blood vessels. Do you want me to talk about how incredible your heart is, your lung is? I can. No wonder the Bible says you're wonderfully and fearfully made. Your brain, by the way, in which they say there are as many circuits in your brain as there are stars in our galaxies. I mean, billions. I know it's a pity some people did not use it more. I often say, how thick can people be and still breathe? I've talked about how the body is covered in laminin, a cell adhesive. It is like the glue that holds your skin together, trillions all over your entire body. Take a look at this photo of laminin. It's in the form of a cross. You know, Colossians 1 says, all things were made through him and by him, and he holds all things together. But laminin on one end of the spectrum, so small, on the other end of the spectrum, the Hubble telescope some years ago zoomed out into the furthest galaxy that it could reach. That galaxy was called the Whirlpool Galaxy, also known as the darling of the universe. Here's a photo of it. The telescope zoomed right into the center of that Whirlpool Galaxy, and take a look at what they saw. A cross, a gigantic cross, millions of miles wide and high. These are NASA's photographs, not mine. I've studied the universe, the planets, human body, evolution. You can call me a lot of things, but I know there are a lot of smart people out there, smarter than me. But I'd be happy to sit down with any of you and discuss these issues with you. And after dropping out of school earlier than many too, I've learned a few things. Can I just ask people, please don't jump to conclusion or put words in my mouth or say things I did not say. Neil Donovan said that I was explaining a God that created the universe only 6,000 years ago. How silly. I never said that. I said that it was 6,000 years ago that Adam fell. Adam sinned. His fall started the clock for the human race as we know it today. Not 6,000 years when Adam was born, for he lived before the fall. Now, for how long he lived before the fall, we don't really know. I have a theory, but I wasn't there. I did not say the earth was only 6,000 years old. I could talk about the billions of years that could easily be between Genesis 1, verse 1, and the word created there is for the first time, and then it goes on, and it talks about being recreated. It's called the gap theory. They don't start on me about that because some people get pretty emphatic and wound up about it, but I was not there, nor were you. The Bible does say that 1,000 years is like a day unto the Lord. Moses, who wrote the book of Genesis and the first 5 books of the Bible, the Pentateuch, in Psalm 90, the only psalm he wrote, and in Peter in the New Testament says that a day is like 1,000 years unto the Lord. So just as the Son of God, Jesus, was given to us 4,000 years after Adam fell, in other words, perhaps 4 days in God's economy of time, the Son, our Son in the sky in Genesis 1, was also given on the 4th day. So obviously God does not count days as we do by the rising of our sun, for there are 3 before the 4th. Or I could say, if God created a 100-year-old tree at the sound of his voice like that, at the snap of his fingers, and you came around the corner and looked at that tree, it would look like a 100-year-old tree. It would taste like a 100-year-old tree. It would smell like a 100-year-old tree. Yet God had just created just before you came around the corner. How old is the earth? I don't know, and neither do you. God has been around a long time, eternity. He is, he was, and he is to come. As I've shared in my other recent posts, where did God come from? To ask where God came from is like asking, is the bachelor married? Or what is the taste of blue? It's an illogical question, because if you could answer it, you'd be God. It is true, God can't be known, but he can be understood. Sorry, God can be known, but he cannot be understood. I better get it right. We do know and do have a clear historical factual tree back to the Adam's fall, the fall of Adam, not the beginning of Adam. It is in the Bible, approximately 6,024 years ago, which the Bible, by the way, is and is known as the most historical, accurate book ever written. 2024 years since Christ was on the planet. I feel sorry for people who say things like, well, how do you know Jesus existed? That, my friend, to be honest, is a very ignorant and silly question. He's the most documented person in history. 2024, think about it. There are 24,634 early writings of Christ, 5,366 New Testament parchments, the earliest dating back before 100 AD. The Gospels were written around 40 AD. In comparison, there are only 10 on Julius Caesar and the Gallic Wars, yet they teach that in schools. There's more evidence that Christ rose from the dead than that Cleopatra existed, or even that Napoleon fought in the Battle of Waterloo, yet nobody denies that. The better, bigger, more important, intelligent question should be not did he exist, but who was he? Was he just a crazy man, or was he a liar? Was he just a good man, or was he who he said he was? Obviously, he was not a crazy man. Read the Gospels and the Bible, and obviously not a liar either. In fact, he could not have just been a good man. If so, then that would make him a liar, for he himself said he was the Son of God, the Messiah. Maybe you might say, well, he was a con man. Yet history shows that he did things that con man can't and wouldn't do, like feeding the 5,000, healing the sick, raising the dead. And so, to be honest, that only leaves one explanation. He was who he said he was. He was, and that, my friend, means that you and I are accountable to him.